Welcome back, children, to one more session of our Class 10 History, third chapter, Nationalism in India. Today, we are going to study about the Salt March and the Civil Disobedience Movement full-fledged. In the previous video, we had seen about how we moved towards the civil disobedience movement after the call of the non-cooperation movement. Like why and who had formed the Swaraj Party within the Congress. Then we had also seen why Indians had boycotted the Simon Commission that arrived in India in 1928. Then, of course, we had seen about the demand for Purna Swaraj or the full independence in India in the Lahore session of Congress. Now, in this particular video, we are going to see about how the second non-cooperation movement was launched, and that was the civil disobedience movement by Mahatma Gandhi. Along with that, before moving towards the civil disobedience movement, we will be seeing how the Salt March or the Dandi March was launched. Salt March is also called as Dandi March. In regards to the Salt March, we will see three questions, that is why, when and how. Why Salt March was necessary? When did it take place? And how was it executed? First, we will try to understand the basic outline of the Salt March. Actually, children, the British government used to impose the tax on salt, whereas salt is easily and naturally available and is a basic commodity. It is a basic necessity of everyone and it is a natural available product. Can you think about eating a food without salt? No, it is not possible at all. So, the salt tax is imposed by the British government showed an oppressive behavior of the British, and therefore Gandhiji broke this Salt Tax Act. Now, our first question was why Salt March took place to launch the civil disobedience movement. The reason was the salt is consumed by the rich and the poor alike, by all the religions and so on. Gandhiji found in salt a powerful symbol that could unite the nation. He chose this event of Salt Satyagraha as a strong base to launch the civil disobedience movement. Next question is, when was it launched? So, Salt March was started on 12th March 1930 and ended on 6th April 1930. Now, the question is, how did he start the Salt March? Children, on 31st January 1930, Gandhiji sent a letter to Viceroy Lord Irwin stating 11 demands. Some demands were of general interest, whereas some were specific of different classes, that is, from industrialists to peasants. Actually, children, the idea was to make the demands wide-ranging so that all the classes within the Indian society could identify with them, and everyone could be brought together in a united campaign. The most prominent of all the demands were the abolish of the salt tax, as Gandhiji wanted to remove the tax on salt, and also the government monopoly, that is the British monopoly, over its production. Gandhiji also gave an ultimatum stating that the demands were to be fulfilled by 11th March, or else the Congress would launch a civil disobedience campaign, which would be a nationwide movement. Irvin paid no heed towards these demands, as he was unwilling to negotiate. He thought that it would be one of the movement which earlier took place and failed. So, looking at this condition, Gandhiji started his famous Salt March on 12th March 1930. He was accompanied by 78 of his trusted volunteers. The march was over 240 miles, or we can say 274 kilometers from Gandhiji's ashram in Sabarmati to the Gujarat coastal town of Dandi. The volunteers walked for 24 days. They walked for about 10 miles a day. Now, wherever or in whichever villages on their route they stopped, they halted. Whenever Gandhiji came across with thousands of people, he told them what he meant by Swaraj, why there was a need for the people to get united, to launch a nationwide movement against the British government. He tried to give message to the people about how to launch a peaceful, a non-violent civil disobedient movement against the people. He tried to train the people to launch or to take up this movement against the British without any violence, which earlier, whenever they took such kind of movements, which turned into a violent. Now it should not be the condition. It should be in a peaceful and a non-violent way. So Gandhiji told that the movement should be, whichever the movement that will take against the British should be in a non-violent way, and not as earlier, which turned out to be in a violent way. On 6th April, he reached Dandi, and ceremonially he violated the law manufacturing salt by boiling the sea water. Now children, this is one of the important question that is asked from this particular chapter in the exam. So what do you have to remember in this particular question? It is 31st January 1930, a letter from Gandhiji to Irvin, to Lord Irvin, 11 demands in that letter, ultimatum given by Gandhiji till 11th March, ultimatum ignored by Lord Irvin, Salt March launched by Gandhiji on 12th March. Then the march was started from Sabarmati and ended in the coastal town of Dandi on 6th April. after the violation of the salt law or the salt tax. They walked for 250 miles for 24 days and about 10 miles a day. All these points should be remembered, children, by you to write this answer, and it is very one of the very important question asked in your exam. Earlier we had studied about the non-cooperation movement. And now, children, we are studying about the civil disobedience movement. So, what is the difference between the non-cooperation movement and the civil disobedience movement? Children, in the non-cooperation movement, Gandhiji had asked people not to cooperate with the British government. But now, Gandhiji has also told to break the colonial laws, that is, to disobey the British laws. No taxes to be paid, no laws to be obeyed, and so on. That is a step ahead than the non-cooperation movement. Thousands of people in different parts of the country broke the salt law, manufactured salt and demonstrated in front of the government salt factories. As the movement spread, the foreign cloths was boycotted and liquor shops were picketed. Peasants refused to pay the revenues and chowkidari taxes. Village officials resigned, and also in many places forest people violated the forest laws by going into the reserved forest to collect the woods and graze the cattle. Children, looking at this development, the colonial government was worried now. The colonial government now started arresting the Congress leaders one by one. This led to violent clashes in many places. Abdul Ghaffar Khan, a devout disciple of Mahatma Gandhi, when he was arrested in April 1930, angry crowds demonstrated in the streets of Peshawar, facing armored cars and police firing. Many were killed. A month later, even Mahatma Gandhiji was arrested. When he was arrested, industrial workers in Solapur attacked the police posts, municipal buildings, law courts, and railway stations as well. All those structures that symbolized the British rule. Now, a frightened government responded with a policy of brutal repression. Peaceful satyagrahis were attacked, women and children were beaten up, and about 1 lakh people were arrested. Now, in such a situation, Gandhiji once again decided to call off the civil disobedience movement and entered into a pact with Irvin on 5th March 1931, known as the Gandhi-Irvin Pact. By this Gandhi-Irvin Pact, Gandhiji consented or agreed to participate in a round table conference. Children, do you remember the first round table conference? That was boycotted by the Congress, but this was agreed to participate in London. And the government also agreed to release the political prisoners. In December 1931, Gandhiji went to London for the conference, but the negotiations broke down and returned disappointed. And back in India, he found that the Congress had begun to a new cycle of repression. Ghaffar Khan and Jawaharlal Nehru were both in jail. The Congress had been declared illegal, and a series of measures had been imposed to prevent the meetings, demonstrations, and boycotts. Now, with great apprehensions, Gandhiji relaunched the civil disobedience movement. For over a year, the movement continued, but by 1934, it lost momentum. So children, in this part of our chapter, we have seen about why was the Salt March launched, when was it launched, and how was it executed. Then we have also seen in this part of our chapter when was the civil disobedience movement launched and how was it launched, and also how was it different from the non-cooperation movement. Now, in the next part of our chapter, we will see how the participants saw the movement and what were the limits of the civil disobedience. Till then, children, go through the chapter very well. Take care of your health and bye.